Akustisch is a new approach to the use of a multi-touch interface for the production, control, and manipulation of digital sound. During the conception of a multi-touch-based digital music instrument, the question arises what kind of touch interaction would be the most appropriate to control various sound parameters in an intuitive way. Human beings always have been fascinated by mental experiences resulting from the interaction with objects. According to this phenomenon, traditional music instruments can be understood as interfaces that are able to transfer the physical energy of its users to an acoustic level. But can the latest achievements of modern technology be used to play an instrument in this way? Considering other projects that use multi-touch technology to control music output, for example the Reactable, most of them pursue a visually based mode of interaction. In most applications, the dynamic of a touch interaction is insignificant, so the traditional way to play an instrument has been replaced by a very rational control concept, often based on a modular synthesizer or step sequencer paradigm. During the research stage of the akustisch project, various modes of interaction were investigated that don't rely on a graphical user interface. The use of complex hand gestures on a multi-touch surface has emerged as a practical solution. This approach allows for all 10 fingers to be used for sound manipulation, whereby an algorithm interprets their movements on the screen as a gestural input. As soon as a gesture is recognized, a specific sound output is generated during its execution. The following interface design follows from this gesture-based control concept. Because the user is allowed to use both hands to carry out gestures, the interface is split vertically into right and left hand areas to allow for parallel initialization of two gestures at the same time, one for each hand. Furthermore, the graphical user interface provides a visual monitoring tool. A highly visible symbolic display is placed in the upper center and shows how many fingertips are detected on the right and left side. Beside the possibility of executing two uni-manual gestures at the same time, the split-screen concept also allows for the detection of bimanual gestures as a collaboration of both hands. There are three types of uni-manual gestures: gestures defined by one touch unit, gestures defined by further touch events, and gestures defined by iterative patterns. Touch units are fingertips that are positioned on the same side of the touch-sensitive surface within a very short time span. Once multiple fingertips are registered as a unit, they can change their average position and their distance to each other. The movement of the fingertips influences the pitch of the sound output. The nearer the user moves a touch unit towards himself, the more the pitch drops. The highest pitch can be produced by moving into the upper left or upper right corner, respectively. By spreading the fingers, the touch unit size increases, which has a direct influence on the amount of voices used in generating the sound output for the corresponding side. The user is able to trigger additional control commands by applying certain motion patterns. For example, by an impulsive upward or downward movement, the current octave can be increased or decreased. By permanently moving one finger on the horizontal axis, the sound output gets rhythmicized depending on the distance between the left and right turning points just previously detected. The smaller this distance becomes, the more aggressively the sound output will be sliced. By imitating a throw gesture, a reverb effect is triggered at the moment contact is lost with the touch surface. Additionally, a panorama parameter is mapped to the touch unit's direction of movement. When a short break is detected between the first touch unit and further fingertips, another gesture type is recognized. An example for this two-step principle is the following gesture. It triggers a grain delay effect with its duration and intensity correlated to the angle and execution velocity of the gesture. When a gesture is applied for a very short time, the algorithm is ready to receive certain patterns again. If a user does this, an iterative gesture can be detected. Every time the user knocks on the surface, the sound output gets suppressed by feeding a sidechain compressor with the audio signal of a kick drum. So instead of an anticipated knocking sound, the output gets muted whenever the user applies this iterative pattern. If the same gestural behavior is recognized on both sides of the surface, the algorithm is also able to interpret certain gesture combinations as one bimanual gesture. A simple implementation is the crossing of the hands while both are handling touch units. Whenever the system detects that both touch units have left their initial sides and crossed over to the other, the distance in between the two touch units determines the degree of a distortion effect.